So good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Financial Reporting and Cemeteries webinar here at PlotBox. My name is Dan White. I am a solutions consultant here with PlotBox. I'd like to introduce my co-presenter today, our product manager here at PlotBox, Ryan Lynch. If you want to go ahead and say hello, Ryan.
Hi, everybody.
So in today's webinar, we are, taking a look at the subject of financial reporting in cemeteries. Financial reporting is a time-consuming process, often involves manual entry, manual calculations, quite often just, hours upon hours, frankly, of time spent tracking information to create reports. So we're going to take a look at some of those processes today, but ultimately, of course, we're going to take a look at how PlotBox can aid in those processes, to help streamline them, help create reports, how to, combine current reports to make things easier or make more efficient, and also ultimately maybe add new reports that you're not currently using. So we'll take a look at all of those today. And through myself and both Ryan, we're going to present to you a little bit of our product that you're going to be able to take a look at today. In terms of agenda for today's webinar, first and foremost, a little bit of a word about what you're going to see today. We are going to show you a number of our demonstration screens throughout this. In feedback from our past webinar attendees, we've heard that back a couple of times that they'd like to see more of the actual product and some screen shares of PlotBox. So we've incorporated that today for you to take a look at. Also, I'd like to invite you to submit any questions you'd like. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, there's an opportunity there for you to send us some questions. You're welcome to do that throughout. We're going to go ahead and visit those at the end. We'll take a look at those and try to answer those the best we can. The other part I'd like to offer up to anybody that's attending today too, if you're not, if you don't want to reach out in a group setting, we're more than happy to follow up with anybody, obviously on a more personal level, email, phone calls, whatever is easiest for you. If it's better suited for you for us to have a chat with you directly, we're happy to do that as well. So ultimately today, what we're trying to convey across to you is that, understanding sales within your cemetery by, having customizable reporting and getting away from, what's selling versus what's not, real-time insight, understanding of pre-needs, and, the ability to export into different financial programs like QuickBooks and Peachtree are items that are going to, drive the streamlining of the financial reporting process, something that PlotBox can do for you. And quite often we find in industry is something that is done currently in a very manual process, in a time-consuming process. So just a brief rundown of today's agenda. We're going to visit reports in PlotBox, things that are probably pretty standard in your current operations, whether they're on paper or not. But the GL report, certainly sales reports, things that most cemeteries are going to be familiar with. But we're going to see some things that maybe you don't currently do. We're going to look at automatic payments, grave inventory visibility, CRM reporting, commission reporting, as well as trust and fund reporting. We're going to chat about all these a little bit, how they impact business, but ultimately how they're handled in PlotBox as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, why do cemeteries need to streamline reporting? First and foremost, of course, like any business, reduction of cost, reduce cost, complexity of financial processing. Certainly a goal of any business: reduce cost, reduce time and effort. I find that translates across the board. Certainly not just for your month end, for closing the books and that kind of thing, whether it's month end, year end, whatever that may be. A robust package to help streamline your reports and make them more efficient is going to ultimately reduce time and stress on your end. So a couple of other side benefits, of course, are to deliver financial transparency and insight, something that translates very well into the audit process. I know in my time in industry, that was a portion that was particularly stressful for not only the managerial staff of the cemetery and funeral home, but also, of course, the accounting department. Whether it be your own internal audit process, your external audit process, any of this, a robust reporting system is going to be something that is going to make that whole process easier. But ultimately, of course, generating high quality finance reports to help drive the business forward. I can take a look at things as simple as what's selling, what's not selling. What kind of business decisions do I need to make from here to ultimately drive business forward in my cemetery. So I think with that, we are going to go ahead and start off the actual look at the reports with a poll question. So you're gonna see this prompt on your screen in just a moment here, but we're gonna go ahead and ask, what is your main source of reporting in the cemetery currently? So you should go ahead and see that across your screen now. And if you could be so kind to share back with us, the information of what you currently do. We have a couple reports rolling in now. I'll give just a few more minutes for people to go ahead and answer the question. Yep, just a couple more minutes here. If you can go ahead and answer that question for us, we can go ahead and move forward. Okay. And just another 10 or 15 seconds there. We see a lot of information. I'll be happy to share the results with you here. I see an awful lot of commonalities here, just a couple of different things, people sharing back. I know one, certainly one, Ryan and I both see a number of, in working with a variety of cemeteries, we see a number of different, you know, uh, strategies, I guess you could say, and different styles of reporting how things are done. I mean, I know quite often we see Excel reports, CSV files that are entered manually and then once again entered manually into a QuickBooks or a Peachtree or a Sage or something like that. But certainly, so something that we can all appreciate as cemeterians is still an awful lot on paper. And we're going to go ahead and close the poll. And the majority we have seen back so far right now for the answers of the attendees is 67% are still currently operating on paper. With the second place answer being the current cemetery software system, followed by Excel, which we had chatted about a little bit too, and then and finally in last place the financial reporting system like QuickBooks or Peachtree. So we can go ahead and revisit some of that a little bit further on. But I am going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Ryan here, who's going to chat with you a little bit about our first report of our GL report.
Okay, thanks for that, Dan. Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to give you a quick run through of some of the reports that we offer in PlotBox. It will just be a very quick overview. If you do want a more detailed run through, you can always kind of get in touch with us about setting up an individual demo. So having a look at the first one that we see here is our general ledger report. So that's something you'll probably be quite used to running at your cemetery. And this can be managed within PlotBox. So what you can actually do is with each of the fee items that you have in the system, you can generate and attach your general ledger codes to those. And then as you make sales in the system or as you perform cancellations of contracts in the system, this will then kick out at the end of the month or at any time that you would like to run it, a general ledger report that shows you the summary for each of your GL codes and also a breakdown by line item for all of your GL codes in the system, giving you the total debit and credit amount for that. And where PlotBox can really save you a lot of time and effort here is that, especially looking at those poll results, we've got people using paper and Excel. It's likely that you're having to manually re-enter that back into a system like financial system like Sage or QuickBooks. But with PlotBox, we can really take out that manual double entry by allowing you to integrate with that system. So you can just push a button like the export button you see up on the top right-hand corner of this screenshot. And that's going to take the data that you have here, all of your cemetery sales data, and push that seamlessly across into your financial system so that there's no manual entry going across in that. So that's somewhere in our GL report that you can really save a lot of time, money, and hassle that you might currently have. So if we move on maybe down to the next slide now, we can pick up another report. The next one that we're looking at here is your sales report. This is quite simple. It's something you'll be used to seeing in most systems. So as you make sales, they fall onto this report. You can run this daily, weekly, monthly, whatever kind of custom time frame you want to put in for it. And it will give you your totals. It'll give you a breakdown of the tax on that. It'll also compare your at need and pre-need, so you can see what you're selling more of in terms of that. Another interesting thing you can do here is include your cancellations. So you can actually check to see if you're getting a lot of cancellations through the system, and notice trends with that. You can see here, it'll show you by contract, but you can also break it down by line item, and you can also search by category. So you can set up categories for markers and niches, things like that, and then report on those particular categories individually. So that's our sales report. And then the next one we're going to look at is another view on this sales report. And it's what we call an agent sales report. So this are your family service advisors or your counselors that are making the sales. And this allows you to actually compare how they are performing with sales. So for each of your counselors, it will give you their total pre-need, total at need, their total cancellations again, which is interesting just to see if a particular counselor or FSA is getting a lot of cancellations back, but you can notice that trend. Again, you can filter here by category, you can break it down by line items. You can really dig in and see, for example, that one counselor is selling a lot more markers than another, one counselor is selling more pre-need than at need, things like that, and really get that information. So what PlotBox is trying to do here is just present this information to you so that you can dig into it, get learnings from it about your business, and use that to make changes on the go. With all of our reports, you've got an export button at the top, so you can print this out to Excel or as a PDF version just for your reporting needs as well. Okay, if you want to move on, Dan, I think you're going to talk a little bit about this. I'll let you hand over.
Oh, of course. No, thanks, Ryan. One of the reports that I really appreciate coming out of industry that PlotBox offers is the ability to offer automatic payment. I mean, I know I had always a number of families chat with us. Do you offer auto draft? Can you do an auto debit system? Can I set up payments for something that I'm doing rather than maybe having to contact the cemetery monthly or sending a check, coming in person, coming into the office? How can we streamline that? It was something that we weren't unfortunately able to do at the time, but PlotBox certainly can, through this automatic payment feature, which ultimately is like the common theme here through our streamlining of reporting is saving time, saving paper, becoming more cost efficient, more time efficient. With this feature here, we're not looking at any more receipt books. We're not looking at any more handwritten receipts. Where customers ultimately going to have a harder time losing the receipts. We have the ability to email receipts, email payment reminders, all of which are going to translate into a more efficient office and ultimately drive business forward for the cemetery. With that, I am going to bring up a short video here that Ryan is actually going to chat with you through. If I can just bring it up to full screen. And Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. So the particular function that we're looking at here is uploading payment batches. And this is something that a lot of our customers use to set up their ACH or direct debit payments. And then they'll get a file back from the bank stating, all of the payments that have been successful. And what we've done at PlotBox is developed a way for you to take that file and just dump it into PlotBox, and it will automatically go off and attach each payment to the contract that it needs to go to. So as it's running through here and processing your payments, it's going to give you a list of the payments that it's attaching in the system, and it'll give you a tick here, as you can see on the screen, to tell you that it's been successful. If there was an issue, that will come up and flag it to let you know that a particular payment hasn't matched correctly to a number. And if we actually click into one of those contracts, we can see here on our payments tab that payment has gone through successfully. And then it'll leave a reference on there to let you know which auto payment batch it was uploaded with, what the file name was, and that kind of information. So this is really somewhere that can save a huge amount of time, that you can just set up an integration with your banking system where you do your ACH or your direct debit payments and fully automate that process so that you're not having to manually re-enter anything in terms of that. Okay, so thanks, Dan. We're moving on now to our accounts receivable report, another one that you'll be used to seeing. PlotBox is really great. So what it does here is just give you a total balance of what is currently outstanding for you to collect from your cemetery sales. And one of the cool things that we do with it here is that we break it into different segments. So we have the amount that is outstanding by 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And you can see that by contract or by customer. And then what you can do with that data, which is really important, is you can take it and produce collection letters right from this report. So I can print off a list of letters for anyone that is currently 30 days overdue. I can then produce a second letter for them when they go 60 days overdue, and then a third letter when they go 90 days overdue, just to warn them that you're going to, possibly take back the contract or whatever your individual process might be around that. So yeah, this is somewhere again that can save you a lot of time if you're currently manually sending out those letters. You're maybe losing track of some debt that you have, or maybe not getting around to sending those letters out to family. This is a great way for you to improve and streamline that process and make sure that nothing goes missing, and really help you with the debt collection aspect of running your cemetery. So yeah, Dan, if you want to jump on to the next one that we're going to look at, which is liability reporting. So what we're looking at here is giving you a figure, which is based on your pre-need sales, as well as the cost price of the items that you sell pre-need. So this is really what you're currently liable for. If everyone who purchased a pre-need item for you was to walk into the cemetery tomorrow morning and want to make use of those items, what would you have to pay out to make that happen and make that possible? So it's really all about ensuring that you have that available to you to cover off what you're currently liable for. And the way we work that out is you can enter for each line item that you sell in the system a current cost price. So, for example, you might have a cost price for what it takes to order a marker, what it takes to develop a new property, whether it's a crypt or a ground burial. So you can plug that into the system. Takes that figure and it multiplies it by the number of items that you've sold pre-need of that type that have not yet been fulfilled in the system. So that gives you your liability. And we actually also split that into short-term and long-term liability. Short-term being the items that have been paid off by the family, and long-term are the items that are still, families are still making payments on. Again, like the other reports, you can filter this by category. So if you just want to see your marker liability, for example, you can do that in the system also. Thanks, Dan. If we want to jump ahead, I think you're going to take over on this one.
Happy to jump into this one here. The grave inventory report is something, again, that I can also appreciate coming out of the industry. Inventory time is time consuming. It quite often involves matching sales maps to records, to files, to sales contracts. I find most often with that a lot of cemeteries are still doing it manually. They're still doing it. It's a process that takes oftentimes literally weeks, depending on the size of the cemetery, depending on how many times they visit this process during the year. With PlotBox, inventory is simple as running a report. The graves you sell, the ones you put on hold, even the ones you cancel, hopefully they're not too many, are updated live and the status is changed live. That means no more remembering to mark the map, no more highlighters, no more post-it notes, no more, hopefully it's something that doesn't happen too often, but no more making a change like that and maybe forgetting to update it, forgetting to take a grave space back off hold, or to have, actually sold that on hold and marked it sold. Just all you have to do is process the contract and book the burial through the system, and all of those previous manual steps are now automated. It'll be done directly through the system here. What this also means is it allows the cemetery management to track and plan inventory. For instance, I can take a quick look here and see that, we only have 5 niches left in the columbarium. Maybe it's time to revisit that project. We've been talking for 5-10 years about how we need to build a new columbarium. I can see in an instant that our inventory is coming to an end there. Maybe it's time to revisit that project. Maybe it's time to visit that project of developing that last 10 acres, the next portion of land we're going to lay out those next graves. Also something PlotBox can help you with. We can help you develop and do some future plot planning as well. But ultimately here, we can view in real time all of our current plot inventory, see increases or decreases over a period of time, and of course, view this detailed report or summary. What is not shown here, and another thing that I find particularly great about this report is I also have the ability, if I was to say click on one of these numbers here, the quantity of some of these inventory items, I can look at them in map view. I can look at this inventory on a map of the cemetery. I can see what's available by section, what's selling where, what isn't selling. Frankly, something I find just as important. If I can take a look at the map, I can see a portion or a section of the cemetery that isn't selling. Maybe we need to visit that. Maybe we need to find, is there something there that's driving people away? What can I look at that is sold? What was different about that section that maybe I can incorporate into the next one? Is there some time and efforts and a project maybe that we need to put into those next sections? But ultimately, again here, an efficient report, a clear report that again is going to help drive business of the cemetery. And next here, this report is a report of our CRM, which is a module that's a feature in PlotBox. For those maybe not familiar with it, a CRM stands for a customer relationship management system. So we can build reports off of this feature in PlotBox, and certainly if it's something you wanted to chat more about, we're absolutely happy to answer some questions around this or follow up with you directly as we chatted about before. But myself as a professional in the cemetery, call myself a family counselor or a salesperson, whatever it may be in your in your organization. The CRM is something I'm going to use on a daily basis. The sales teams are going to use on a daily basis. Management's going to use on a daily basis. Myself as a counselor, I'm going to log my daily tasks here. I'm going to log my activities with families, my sales. I can set reminders to follow up. I can set reminders for colleagues to follow up. If I'm going to be on vacation, if I'm out for some reason, I have information in there about what I did with the family last. If they happen to walk in, if they happen to call in, they can pick up the conversation seamlessly if I'm there or not. Another great feature here, gives managerial staff an ability to track activity. Certainly not meant to be Big Brother, but at the same time, there are certainly utilizations for that as well. More in terms of tracking activity of the sales team for who's sending the most emails, who's making the most calls, who's hosting the most meetings. And not necessarily to be watching over their shoulder, but to drive efficiencies and drive processes. What's working the best? If I have one counselor who's having a particularly successful few months, maybe I want to take a look at what he's doing. Maybe I want to take a look at is he spend most of his time on the phone? Does he follow up his leads with meetings? And likewise can work in the reverse. If I have a counselor that isn't having a successful quarter or whatever it might be that you measure, what can I take a look at there and make some adjustments in terms of how to improve their performance and ultimately the team's performance, which again translates into the bottom line of the cemetery. How's it going to perform the best? The other part of this I like as well is the ability to integrate this and use in conjunction with the sales report. Certainly this one is a great one to compare over to the sales report. I can take a look at here at what all of my counselors or managerial staff, whoever's involved in any of these activities and sales portions, I can take a look directly here at what's translating into the sales report and generating the most success for all of my counselors and employees. The other portion I like as well is the ability to understand where your leads are coming from. Not only can I take a look at where our activity is coming from our counselor standpoint, but the leads themselves, the leads and the families and the sales that the staff is working with, I can keep track of where where the source of those were. Maybe we ran a function at a church presentation. I can take a look at how well did that translate into our sales. Maybe we sent a mailing or something like that. I can take a look at that. I can see, gosh, that worked really well, or maybe that didn't. And try to make future plans from there. So Ryan, I'll go ahead and send this back over to you to chat a little bit about commissions.
Great, thanks, Dan. Yeah, so if we open up, another key part of PlotBox and how it can save you time is through commission reporting. So if any of you are paying out commission to your councillors, you'll probably already know of the kind of stress that you're going through at the end of the month, having to calculate that out, especially when there's lots of different rules around different items that they sell, different bonus schemes and cancellation rules and so on. So what PlotBox allows you to do is manage these yourself from within our system. And how you do that is by setting up rules that the commission report will then run at the end of the month based on those rules. And it's really easy to configure these and change them yourself in the system. So one of the first rules that we're going to look at here is the sales commission rule. So this is your standard rule. If we play on here to look at the fee commission part of it, you're going to be able to set up different rules depending on what your councillors are selling. So it might be a very simple rule where you just say they get 8% pre-need across all of their property sales and 2% at need across their property sales. Or you might want to drill down further and offer them a higher rate of commission on a particular category of items. Say, for example, in this example, we're looking at a granite monument. If you want to maybe encourage your councillors to sell more of those, then you can put up the rate on that for a particular month and just kind of try that out to see how it goes. You also see there was a tab there for manager commission. So within PlotBox, you can set up your teams that are earning commission. And within that team, you can elect a manager who is going to earn a flat percentage rate of sales across all of his team's commissionable sales in the system. So if we run the video on here, Dan, we're going to look at our bonus rules next. So whenever we come out here, we'll load up bonus rules, and as anyone who's using these will know, they can differ. So in PlotBox, it is quite flexible for you to configure these. If we open up the rule here to show you an example, then we will see that you can set different levels for bonuses that your councillors can hit. So if we just pause on this, you can set up as many of these different levels as you want, and the result can either be a cash payment bonus, or it could be an extra percentage on the sales that they have made. So you can see here in this current example, if they hit between 100 and 150K in sales, they're going to get an extra 3% on that. And if they get any higher than that, then they're going to get cash bonuses going forward. So yeah, that's how you can set up and manage bonus rules. The next ones we're going to move on to now are the cancellation rules. So what happens when a councillor sold a contract and then the family come back and make a cancellation? So you can set up different rules to manage that also. And similar to the bonus scheme, these can be set up on different levels. So you can do this usually by time period. So you can say in the first 30 days of the contract, we're going to punish the councillor by taking back 10% of their commission or whatever rate you want to put in. There is two options here. If you have a reserve system where the councillor has to build up a reserve, you can have the cancellation amount come out of their reserve as opposed to coming out of their next wage packet. So again, it's very flexible around what you can do there. But if we move on, we can take a look at the actual commission report itself. So at the end of each month, or as often as you pay out your commission, whenever you come in to run this report, you'll load up your commissions module. You'll see a history of all the ones that you've previously made. So you'll be able to see a history and go back and look at all previous commissions. And if we just pause here, then we'll see this is the actual report that we're now running. It'll sort it by your different facilities and also by the different teams. Now, it's important to note as well that when you're setting up those rules, you can set them up on many different levels. So you can set a rule for an entire facility. You can set it for a group or a team of users that you configure yourself, or you can set it up for an individual. So, some of your councillors might be on a higher rate of commission because they've been with you longer, and someone who's just joined might be on a lower rate of commission. So you can manage those different rates all from within PlotBox here. Looking at the report itself, you'll see there are totals for what is due, what is earned commission, and what is deferred. So what we're referring to here is you can you have two options for how you can pay out the commission. You can either do it whenever the sale is first made, so at the end of that month they get their full commission paid out, or you can do it by the payment plan. So as payments are made, they will start getting percentages of their commission until it's fully paid out. So that's what we're looking at here when we see that. What you can also do from this report is do a manual override. So we understand there's going to be times where you still need to get in there and change a figure on the commission report. So if you have that role permission, if you are an admin in the system and you're able to do that, then you can perform an override. It will clearly mark when an override has happened, and it will force you to enter a reason for doing that so that it's fully traceable in the system whenever you look back. But yeah, if we play the video on now, Dan, we'll see that you can also actually click into the contract sale itself. So we'll come over here and click on the contract number. And when we go to the finance tab, it'll actually break down both for the total contract, but also by line item, the exact amount of commission that this councillor has earned. It's also good to point out at this point that you can split sales in PlotBox. So if two councillors or even three councillors worked on a particular contract and they were going to split the commission, that you could do that from within the contract as well, and that their usernames would be displayed here to show exactly what they earned, as well as if there was a manager earning commission on this as well, it would display what they have earned through the contract itself. So yeah, commissions is another place that we get great feedback on for how much time and effort and hassle that people are saving, whether you're currently working it out manually or you're maybe using an Excel sheet and plugging in figures every month. This can really simplify that process for you, all from within PlotBox. Thanks, Dan. I'll pass back over to you again now.
Sure. No, thanks, Ryan. With that, that is just the brief overview of the reports that Ryan and I are sharing with you today. We did want to go ahead and present the opportunity now. You're going to see another prompt on your screen to actually request from us some more either more information, or more importantly, as we asked in the very beginning, is there something that you have a question about? We're happy to chat with you offline here about rather than submit a question in the open forum here. So we'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. Ultimately, Brian and I would like to thank all of you for attending today. Of course, it's our pleasure to share this with you, and we're absolutely more than happy to chat with you guys going forward. You're welcome to reach out with anything at all. I'm going to go ahead and let the poll wrap up here. Give everybody just another couple minutes or a couple seconds here to submit any information or requests to chat with us if they'd like. Go ahead and close that. So we did. I do see here there's a number of you that would like to have a conversation with us. We're more than happy to follow up with you afterwards. I would take a quick check here. We don't have any other questions to visit. We'll leave just another couple of seconds if anybody wants to submit an actual question. But I do see here a number of you have asked us to reach out to you. We're more than happy to do that. On behalf of Ryan, PlotBox, myself, we're thrilled to have you here today for this short webinar, and certainly thank you for sharing a bit of your afternoon or morning with us. Oh, I did see. I have one quick question, Ryan. We have a question that did come in here. If you have multiple cemeteries, can this be used all in one? Ryan, I'll let you go ahead and take that.
Oh yeah, of course. As you might have seen in some of them reports, I maybe didn't highlight that enough, you can filter what you're doing by facility, or you can get an overall view for all of your facilities. So within all of them reports, you'll be able to filter down for each of your different sites, but also you can get an overall view. So yeah, it's fully set up. You can also set up your pricing list by facility or even section of the facility so that the pricing is different as you add the contracts on all of your different sites. So yeah, 100% it can be used to manage multiple cemeteries, and that's what the majority of our customers would have, multiple cemeteries that they're using PlotBox on.
Great, Ryan. Thanks so much for that. Certainly, if you need any further clarification on that, and likewise, thank you too. I appreciate that. but we're happy to catch up offline as well. With that, again, I would like to thank you all for attending today. Ryan, thank you again for your help as well. And we wish all of you the best. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.